Blakey and Tux, they're talking Cardiff City and some other stuff. Blakey and Tux, Dolly ask the questions on Blakey's boot room. Will always be blue.
Good afternoon. Welcome once again to Blakey's Boot Room here on Wales Online. Nathan and Steve in the studio as always to talk all things Bluebirds. I've been away for the last couple of weeks, Jack.
Yeah,
it's been pretty depressing.
No, it's been brilliant. And Gaz always gets his word right at the beginning.
Yeah, we were
hours. I've been away for hours.
We were unsure whether to go with Gaz again or
I didn't
bring
realise
you back off the subs bench.
I have to get you some elocution lessons.
You're
I wasn't quite sure. What did you say?
You're always. Hey, you want to see the bottle of brandy in his drawer? Half empty now. Anyway, hey, let's put it this way: you need a stiff drink before you come on here. You know, you've got something. You need something to keep going. No, it's been depressing.
Yes, but slightly better this week, maybe weekend. First half in particular, an improved performance against Sheffield Wednesday. Second half, not so great.
Yeah,
but at least it wasn't a defeat.
Yeah, it wasn't a defeat. But, playing for one half has been playing for 20 minutes in one half has been a problem in there for a while. But, positive, I suppose, it's a starting point, isn't it? It's something you can, build upon then, if you like. Go and win, 2 games in your next 5 and draw maybe 1 or 2. It's 5 games unbeaten, that's how it's written, you know what I mean? So that tends to build a bit of confidence, but, they need to build confidence. It's as simple as that. The team need to get, I keep saying, more possession of the ball, play better football. And it's only through playing football, passing, moving, the basics, that you gain confidence, creating chances, you win a couple of games where you're not supposed to, and all of a sudden the mentality changes to we can beat anybody. But at the moment they're like a fighter who's just getting up and referees counting 6, 7.
At least he's not going 9, 10 out.
Yeah, well that's what I'm saying.
Which we thought they
get
were.
It up. They're getting up. They get it up. So and largely because of the man leading the attack. Mr. Jones.
I remember on the show last week I said something like, even if they lost at Sheffield Wednesday, but we were talking about a better performance, then it would be a big positive. And I think we are.
Yeah.
In a way, we are. I mean, for a start, they got a point, which has to be a big positive. Again, the performance wasn't as I say, not right across the whole game. Yeah, it was sporadic again. A good start and then falling off the pace later on and conceding a late.
That's to be expected equaliser. With new players in your team.
Yeah, and I think it's a betting. But I think to be fair, we've sat here and like a lot of people and had a go at Russell Slade in recent weeks. Saying he's not doing this, he's not doing that. Well, I think. You have to cut the guy a bit of slack and say, well, this, a good point at Hillsborough, a reasonable point. And again, not the greatest performance, not, like Blakey ball, pass and move and a spectacular attacking play, but...
No, it's just basic, though.
Yeah, well, okay. Hey, for Cardiff, it's not. That's spectacular.
It is just basic football, really.
But I think the one thing about the performance is the spirit that people, for a long time, people have been questioning the desire and the spirit within the side. I think they answered a few of those questions, particularly in the first half at Hillsborough, with the spirit and commitment that they showed, and all the right noises are coming out of there. And Russell Slade, I think, the people he's brought in, he's starting to move towards his side, the kind of side he wants to see there. So, this show's always full of doom and gloom. Perhaps cut a bit of slack to Russell Slade.
It's not always full of doom and gloom. It's just full of, we give
Honest
realism.
opinions.
a perspective of what we see. You know,
But I
if it's
think
glorious, then we'd be floating around here.
I think a step forward and a bit of a boost ahead of a really big game against Brighton at home now, tomorrow night. That's what it is, and I think that's how it should be recognised.
And in many ways, I mean, Saturday was the new beginning for Russell Slade, because that was the first game. This is his team now, isn't it? All the new signings in there.
I don't think it. I still think in the back of his mind, not in the back of his mind, probably at the forefront of his mind, ideally he would have Ravel instead of Kenwyn. But Kenwyn's almost saying, drop me at your peril. Drop me and you lose. It's going to come like an avalanche on you. You know what I mean? Because everyone's saying you shouldn't be leaving him on the bench. He's the only bright spark at the moment. If he comes off the bench, Russell Slater said himself like 2 weeks ago, we only need to play him for 20 minutes. He comes off and makes a great impact. Well, like I said, playing for 90 minutes, you probably get a greater impact from him. Or at least start him and let him get to 60 or 70. If he runs out of gas, then change him. But I think ideally, Russell would like to play Ravel. But, as a player, you get brought in, you just have to wait your turn. Unfortunately, the man, Mr. Jones, is doing, more than I think what people expected of him at this stage of season, and the team, which is struggling. So there's just no way. He's even tried to play Ravel and Kenwyn. That says to me how desperate Russell is to get Ravel into the team. That he's played those two together, mate. Just accept that. He's your number one man. If Ravel has to wait till the end of the season and you can do a bit of business and get 3 or 4 million for Kenwyn, and then you've got Ravel to go next year, then that's the way it has to be. But don't, cut off your nose sort of thing.
I think the interesting thing now when it comes to that is I agree with Blakey that Ravel is obviously Slade's first choice really, but it's just the sheer great form that Kenwyn Jones is in. He is undroppable. Owen Doyle and Kenwyn Jones together. I think we saw at Hillsborough, don't want to big it up too much, but the possibility, the first signs that maybe that is something that could work together. That is a partnership that could be built on. You've got Doyle, who had a good debut, could have had an even better debut. Had a couple of a good chance and like a half chance that probably when he was at Chesterfield, he would have actually buried. Do you know what I mean? If they were the kind of chances he's been taking all season, with 25 goals or whatever he's got. So, a good debut, solid, and a sign that, you've got Kenwyn there, who Blakey always says, defender's nightmare, big, strong, winning everything in the air. And you've got Doyle there on the floor, lively, wanting to play off guy shows, making little runs. I think that was a big positive for Slade there, that however much he wants Ravel in there, it looks like his top scorer and his new signing up front could work together.
Yeah, because, it's the kind of partnership as well that can gain you promotion. Because Kenwyn's the kind of big man who is going to get you 15 to 20 goals in a season.
He's almost there now.
And Doyle looks like the kind of player who can get you 20 plus goals a season. Straight away, Russell has given himself a dilemma by buying Ravel for me. Now he's in a dilemma, do you know what I mean? Because he can't keep that player happy. That player is going to be expecting to play because he's been bought. He has to speak to him and almost say, right, you have to just wait. If Kenwyn's not fit, then you're going to come in. Yeah, and when you come in, if you go on a spree, scoring 4 goals in 2 games, then it's going to be difficult for me to say, right, Kenwyn, straight back in. He's doing so well, Ravel's doing so well, I'm going to have to leave him in there. And then Kenwyn has to take a back seat. But that's competition then. That's that drives
that's exactly what you want.
That's what you want. That drives competition with the places. I remember being injured and wanting to get back in the Wolves team because I knew that season we were trying to get to the playoffs to play at the Millennium. We did. I broke my foot in 2 places, but I worked and worked and worked and worked just to get back. And just as I got back, George Ndar got injured. And he had been on fire. I had been on fire, got injured. He took over my place, on fire, got injured. As he got injured, I got fit. And it was incredible. But it was, you drive each other on. When you see a teammate doing so well, you don't sit and sulk. You think, oh, man, when I get in that team, when I get my chance getting that team, I want to stay in there. So, I think Russell's got to be, this is where he's got to be, a man's manager, basically. You know, nothing worse than all the team knowing that Kenwyne's the man, and all of a sudden he's dropped, and everyone goes, "Oh, what's he messing it
I
up
don't
for?"
think that's possible right now, because as well, I mean, Kenwyne Jones right now is in fantastic form. And I think what he showed against Wednesday was not just in goal scoring form, where he's red hot. His all-round game again has improved.
He almost brought all his experience out, everything. Yeah.
What's the stick that people used to beat him with all the time? He's lazy or whatever. His all-round contribution is not as if scoring like 7 goals in 8 games not enough of a contribution.
Yeah.
But I thought at Hillsborough as well,
defensively he was good.
all round he defended from the front by his
Digging
standards.
people out.
By his standards, it was an energetic performance. You can't drop a guy like that. I mean, I don't even think Russell Slade is daft enough to think that. But having Ravel on the bench there,
gives him that kick up the backside.
Yeah, even for Kenwyne Jones, you know.
It's a driver.
It's a
driver,
thing
he
to
knows
say,
he
well,
wants,
you know,
he knows he
even
wants
though
the
you've
manager
been playing
wants
well,
it.
we wanted Ravel in, so it doesn't matter really. So you're going to have to keep putting the ball in the net.
Yeah.
And it's good. And as I say, when you factor Doyle into that now, it's such a shame this season in many ways that up front they've had a series of like false starts, haven't they? In truth, Kenwyne Jones has been consistently good. I mean, when he's been in, he's been scoring. Who to play with him has been his problem. We had, you had McCader early on that proved, flattered to deceive. And then Adam Lafondra, who basically just didn't rise to the occasion. So we've had these false starts. It's like you say, if they'd started the season with Doyle and Kenwyne Jones up front, so they got him in the summer,
they probably
maybe, just maybe.
12 goals each now,
you could have Kenwyne on, he's on 13, 14 goals. If Doyle had chipped in with 10, if buts and maybes, but maybe just now, I think they could be going down the right avenue. I think Slade should persevere. Yes,
very good,
something nice.
But you don't turn that off because you've bought Ravel. Because all you do, like I said, you'll just you just incite the fans to just absolutely come after you. The press will come after you. So
you don't often say it. Kenwyne Jones undroppable.
Okay, fair enough. Let's take a few comments in. Lots of people impressed with Doyle and McElhenney as well, who played sort of at the tip of the diamond. We'll talk a bit about him now then. Danny says slightly improved performance from recent weeks, but second half we were on the back foot and completely dominated. Dodgy penalty, he says, which quite a few people I think agree with. Doyle and McElhenney did show some much needed pace up top too, which was encouraging. Wayne saying he's looking forward to seeing Conor McElhenney against Brighton. Pity we couldn't have signed him at the start of the season, but better late than never. Some good reviews for McElhenney in particularly, because that diamond seems to be that's going to be Slade's way now, doesn't it?
There's some question of whether it's totally convincing, and I think many people looking at the way Slade started against Derby with the 2, and 3-1 kind of there as maybe a bit of a better option. What I thought about Delaney was, and what you've been banging on about, all season, what have we said about Cardiff turning defence into attack? Too slow, too pedestrian, too predictable. Delaney, sorry, not Delaney, McElhenney. What you can say, and that showed particularly with the goal. Get hold of the ball, make something happen quickly. Whether it's just covering ground or a pass, get it forward. And that's with the goal. It was him who he got a good 30 yards. He ate up out to Scotty Malone in, and Kenwyne doing what he does best. So yeah, I agree with that. I think he looks, Conor McElhenney looks like the kind of player they've really needed, someone to bring a bit of urgency to it. And then when you've got Owen Doyle then making the runs off there, making space for others, pulling defences out of shape, then it becomes a bit more exciting. I still think Cardiff were too reliant on hit and hope at times, but you don't just lose that overnight. You don't just go, right, okay, we're going to start playing on the ground. But
I think their problem is at the moment that, I hate to say it, but the other two midfielders in Whittingham and Gunnarsson aren't going to give you. We've said it. I've said it.
Well, let me read this from Bobby just before you continue. Why does Slade persist in playing Gunnarsson and Whittingham in our midfield? Everybody can see it hasn't worked all season, but he still picks these two. They've been great servants to Cardiff, which they have, but surely they should be rested. Give the likes of Adeyemi, he mentions Rowles, who's impressed every time he's sort of been thrown in.
Gunnarsson
sat in the studio think he's
Gunnarsson sat in front of the back four. I'd say Adeyemi do it.
Well, that was supposed to be O'Keefe's.
Well, that was where he played against Derby.
O'Keefe, and put Adeyemi in the O'Keefe's position because he got so much legs. Yeah. and then I would switch Rowles for Whittingham. I think it's quite straightforward. I don't think you're going to upset too much, but then Whittingham and Gunnarsson, they know right. It's on, fellas. It's not, we're sat on the beach, Cardiff City anymore. It's on. It's competition for places, and these are young kids who are coming up, biting at our heels, and actually now they've jumped over our heads. Now we got to step up our game. We're two experienced pros. We got to step up our game in order to try and get back into that team. Or if we come on, we got to make an impact, a big impact when we do come on, to give the manager a dilemma, because that's all you want in your squad. You don't want this tiered thing, where you think, right, these are senior pros, we're younger pros, and we dictate to you. No. If I'm a young pro, and I was a young pro, if it took me telling a 34-year-old Lee Bernard, telling him what I thought about him, then
what did you say to him?
I would tell him. If we were struggling and we needed, that's just the aggression in you. You just can't help that. It doesn't matter if you're 18 or 28 or 38. If you're losing and you need players to step up and do more, then you tell them, just like he would tell me. But there wasn't no fear of me telling him. I think that's what's happened at Cardiff for a long time. The senior pros have almost dominated anyone who's young. It's been, and they've been there such a long time. Players come in and they're like held up into some high esteem where no, mate, you've got no right. Like I've said, you can't, in my opinion, you can't be a set piece specialist and hold down a place in any team, in any league in the world. For me. Just because you can take a good corner and a good free kick. Because I see plenty of games where teams have no corners or one corner in a game and are so deep and so lose so much possession that they have 30% possession and hardly get near the opposition's box and don't get a free kick around it. So that player becomes absolutely useless to me. So I'm not with that. I've had the argument with Rob Phillips. I've had the argument with one or two other people. Mate, if you think a set piece taker, you name me another one. That's what I always say. Name me another one then.
Why then has Slade stuck so much with Whittingham and Gunnarsson?
I'll tell you why.
When he's been prepared to
Let me tell you why.
change up front,
Let me tell you why. Right? I'll tell you why. From the inside. Right? Not inside Cardiff's dressing room, but from the inside as a player. When a manager comes in, he'll dig out a few seniors and he'll get himself, put his arm around a couple of seniors, because these are the ones, if they go against me, because like I said, players like Whittingham and Gunnarsson be held in high esteem. If these two go against me, the chances are it'll be a domino effect and I'll be struggling. So I'll look after certain players, because that then gets me control of the dressing room. That's all it is. Trust me, in my opinion, because there's no way you can watch that and see what you've seen over the last 3, 4, 5, 6 months and say it's on form. You're picking them on form.
There's no way if Slade was to call Whittingham or Gunnarsson and say, sorry, you're dropping down to the bench, they would never have a leg to stand on when it came to arguing with that, the way they've been playing. They couldn't really talk about that. They're on current form. They're basically not earning their place in the side. And
do you see that happening maybe for this Brighton game, for the next game? Pilkington apparently close to fitness. Mike here suggesting he's got to come back into the starting.
He would come on the left-hand side of the Whittingham position.
Pilkington, that was a really unfortunate injury because I think it was the Watford game. I think where he played really well in that. He was starting to look really good. So I think once he's fit, he's definitely one of those guys who'll be knocking straight on coming straight back into the first team, because he was proving a real asset before he left. So I mean, as you say, he's been prepared. It's weird. How much is he's changed the defence? Often just out of choice, sometimes out of necessity. Up front, he's gone through at a rate of knots,
and that's
3 or 4 guys.
That's not been the problem.
And the big problem area has been midfield. And effectively, he's stuck with what he's got there. It's been the most consistent. Maybe change one or two elements.
Results
and it's where Cardiff are consistently losing the battle in the game. So, it needs addressing, I think. And
he's all right though, because he keeps watching his show. Clearly,
Blakey wants a cut now of the salary.
No, we want a cut.
We want a cut. We want a cut. Yeah.
The boot room.
Yeah, the boot room.
Absolutely,
Choosing the side.
Steve saying Whittingham Gunnarson's inclusion every game is one of our big problems. Adiemi and Ralls are better options. They'll give us more legs, more energy, which is something you've talked a lot about, Blakey. What about this one? Is the diamond as a whole from Christian? The diamond has been proved time and time again that it's not effective. Unless whoever you're playing is also playing a diamond, you leave your fullbacks too exposed.
No, you can play a diamond, but you have to work on it. And the whole idea of a diamond is possession football, because you tend to play through the middle. We don't have possession of the ball, so I don't understand it. Yeah, and you counter-attack quickly. Well, you should counter-attack with any sort of shape, really, but you can counter-attack quickly. And we don't, well, we haven't up until, the Wednesday game was a bit better. So for me, listen, you make the choice of what shape you want to play, but then you've got to go and work, and it's got to be delivered, I don't quite understand the diamond shape when you got so many good wingers at the club. Yeah, one or two might be struggling with confidence, but you've got a lot of good wingers and younger boys coming through who can play on the wing. Yeah, you've got young Declan can play on the wing. You've got Fabio, if you wanted, he could play on the wing. You've got Pilkington can play on the wing. You've got New can play on the wing.
Well, Noonan and Pilkington are as good as wide men in the division.
Exactly.
Arguably.
You've got the young lad who I kept going on about who can play on the wing. You've got so many wingers and you're reverting to a diamond formation. Okay, like I say, you're the manager, you make the decisions. That's what you're paid to do. Personally, I think you've got better personnel to play the ball wide, and then you're playing through the middle with the best header of the ball in the league. When I say it like that, you kind of think, oh, why would you play a diamond shape, innit? You're looking at me like, yeah, that don't make sense. It don't make sense. But I'm not the manager. He's not the manager. We don't pick the team. We don't pick the shape. They've picked the 4-4-2 diamond. They've got away with it.
It goes to show when the goal at Wednesday was finally a full-back overlapping.
Yeah, you go. Ball in the box.
Which is what people have been crying out for, what we've not seen enough of all season. That happens 1-0 Cardiff. That's not a coincidence. Yeah. And I think that's a
so
sign.
That's like playing a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3 or a 4-5-1, however you want to, split it up. But you get the ball wide and get the crosses in the box, because, if each winger should be saying, right, if I get 10 crosses in 60 minutes, 5 of them got to be on point. 5 of them got to give my striker an opportunity to score. I can cross the ball from 40 yards away.
You've got a perfect
but that's
thing
no
there
good.
now.
You want to get in, get behind, get that ball across, and you've got someone coming in, and you've got young Doyle.
I was going to say, that's it. You've got Doyle, the fox in the box kind of thing, running around.
You get it in there, you get it in there.
It should cause
But
a
then
lot
you
of
go
problems.
away from, then you can't play McElhaney. Well, you can, but you have to sort the midfield out then. Do you know what I mean? But if, like I say, if you play a 4-5-1 or it becomes a 4-3-3, then you can fit them all in there. You can fit them all in there.
Not a big fan of the diamond then. I think we'll...
Diamond.
Although you can't fit them all in there. I take that back. McElhaney or Doyle would have to suffer because you're playing with wide men. Yeah. So... But then like I say, if you work, you've got your great options, haven't you? You've got 4-4-2 diamond that you can revert to, and if it's not working, blah 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 blah, then you say, okay, Kenwin struggled today, off he comes, in you go Doyle, in you go McElhaney, and we're going to play a different shape and blah blah bang, and we're going to try and get you through the heart of your defence rather than coming around the back wide. But it's easy for us Saturday.
It is indeed. It is indeed. Let us move slightly off the field, if you like, sort of on the field and off the field. Tucker himself, actually. The 15 questions we did.
We did.
Questions. Basically, put 15 questions to Cardiff City this week on behalf of. The supporters.
Obviously, we were getting a lot of contact from supporters.
A lot of emails.
Yeah, saying, I want to know this. So we thought, while we're here, You know,
You may as well.
It is our
Like to
jobs after all. We may as well do it while we're in the office, getting grotesquely overpaid for this business. That's a joke.
I won't go through all 15.
Yeah,
but I think
so we
it'd be
put the
good-
questions
be
to the
good
hierarchy.
go through a few of them and the responses. See what you think, Blakey. You probably
Okay.
haven't seen fully these. The first one was about Slade himself. Is the board currently happy with the job he was doing? I'm sure they were thrilled to get that question.
No, they wouldn't be.
The press officers there didn't look so happy. It has to
The
be
response
said.
being
We
the
love those
board
guys.
is obviously mindful of the results. We are not happy with the results, but
No,
we are
it
fully
wouldn't be.
behind the manager.
Okay,
so
that's about
that's a stock
right
answer.
thing
I
to
suppose
say,
you would expect that, would you? Maybe?
Yeah.
Are there any plans to bring someone in to work next to Russell Slade on the football side
I
of
think
things?
there has to be.
That's entirely up to Russell Slade. Came the response, if he wants somebody, we can certainly...
Well, that's not what we said in the beginning when he came, is it?
Well, no, there was very much a suggestion that they were going to go down the director of football route, wasn't there?
Yeah, and before he came, or when he came, wasn't it, he was told that he's not bringing his backroom staff, so rumour has it.
He wanted his backroom
Well, of course
staff,
he would,
but
So that kind
it
of like...
seems to be. I mean, it depends what you believe on that. It seems to be suggestions that possibly his backroom staff at Orient were not offered that attractive a proposition coming to Cardiff. I mean, I'm not exactly sure that's what somebody was telling me, possibly.
But I think Cardiff were very keen for Scott Young to...
Well, that seems to be their thing. I mean, because that's we've said that at the time, didn't we? It's almost like a kind of Gary Monk at. Don't want to bring my Swansea thing up again, but Gary Monk at Swansea. You know, there seems to be some kind of hope within there that there's like an heir apparent already on the books, a legend that can
My
step up.
thing is,
and
Scotty,
I know.
I've said it before, I've seen Scotty manage and coach outside in Porth and where have you, you know. I'd say, like, if you're going to do it with anyone, try it with Bellamy. Don't try it with Scotty. So I just don't rate him as. I worked with him for a short while at Newport as well, where he was a coach to Beadle, Jeremy, and no, mate. You know, I'm just giving you my perspective. I can't sit here and lie.
You've said it
I
before,
can't sit here and say to you, "Oh, I think it's a great." I think it's the right way to go internally, promoting from within. I really do, but I just don't think that he's the man.
Not the right man. This is maybe an off the field one, and a comment we just had. Somebody here saying how frustrating it is to see players leave for nothing. In recent we've seen about 10 players I think through the door, a lot of them with contracts cancelled, no fees. Got Kimbo Kyung, but probably the obvious one because he was one who was bought for a fair bit of cash not too long ago. Showed great signs and then given away. Malky.
Well, it just shows how poorly decision making is at the top.
Well, let's try and explain that. Then the question was put to them. About the whole cost-cutting measures, things we've seen, what's that all about? Mehmet Dalman explains our wage bill has been very high for a championship club.
Yeah, well, why do you let Ollie sign so many players? You know what I mean? Of course your wage bill is going to go high.
They wanted the answer to that was they wanted to back their managers. Ollie wanted a big squad, so they put their faith in the manager and said, okay, we'll give you what you want to do.
Listen, I want a jumbo jet. Don't mean to always get what you want.
What are you going to do with a jumbo jet? I can't even imagine it.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's
Dalman also saying we're not going out there spending big money because we believe we've already got top quality players here, and they're just adding around the edge that he believes they've got the quality there for a good set. And Ken Chu, perhaps this was sort of insightful stuff, bringing in financial fair play, the new regulations that are in place, saying it was only a matter of time before they were going to come a cropper with that in terms of then you're talking transfer embargoes and all that.
We did say on this...
That is at the heart of it.
We did
the rest of it is window dressing. It's the words. I mean, I was there with Ken Chu and Dalman, who I must say spoke really well and answered every question, didn't shy from any question, by the way. Straight, just answered them. I mean, not going to say here's the books, here's every secret we've got, but I thought they should be commended for stepping up and saying, here's...
Is it as simple as by the time they published their next accounts, they had to have a certain amount of money off those books?
I think otherwise it was going to become apparent that they were going to fail financially.
So wouldn't you say that was... I would say for a club of that magnitude and people of that magnitude, that high up in business, because let's be fair, business is their thing. How have you let that situation grow like that? Well, always go to the source. How have you let that? It's no good saying we got to get them players. Hold on. When you were signing them, when you're looking at your finances and going, hold on a minute, fellas, we're staying a bit too close to the sun here. We can't afford to let Ollie come in and go, oh, I need another. Whoa. I can't afford to let him come in and just bring 9 or 10 players. We're going to have to say to him, 2 go out, you can bring 1 in. 2 go out, you can bring 1 in. But we need to cut it right down to like 22 because we got, 15 under 21s as well. We want to start utilising them and start bringing them through the system. Otherwise, there's no point having an academy. All that work being done by the academy, it's no point. It's pointless if they're not genuinely getting their flow of players through. So, you know, I accept. Yeah, okay, you've got to do it now. But we've sat here and said you've got a squad of 31, 32, 33 players. You're probably playing £10 million a year out on wages that you don't need to straight away.
Well, that's what they've been cutting, is 12 million right now. I think you were. I think it backs up what you have been saying, in that for too long, the owner and the board, they've just been reacting.
Been a plaything.
There was no thought of tomorrow.
It's like a plaything.
It's always, we want to stay in the Premier League. Let's throw money. Let's get players in. We're going to bounce straight back up.
They gave Ollie. They said, "Go on, do what you need to do," and he brought in all the Norwegians.
Look, I mean, no offence, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer set this club back like 10 years in a way.
He didn't.
You know, he really set this club back. Honestly, and we're only seeing the results of that now. We're seeing the results of that now.
No.
Russell Slade is having to get rid of
Ollie turns, didn't they?
No offence. There's nothing I wouldn't say to his face from a distance.
You can't blame Ollie. You can't.
I think he set the club back.
Everyone takes part responsibility. Right.
Well, I think he plays as a big responsibility.
Yeah, but again,
when he came in there, the right appointment there, all this is immaterial. We're still in the Premier League, and all this is a joke.
Okay, let me say this.
When he took over, that was a disastrous
Let me say
appointment.
this, right? You got Ken Chu, Mehmet, and the owner, right? What was the problem with Malky, Mackay, and Ian Moody? They were sacked in the end, or they left, or whatever it was, allegedly over mishandling of transfers and mishandling of funds, and 1 or 2 other issues, right? Allegedly. So, you bring the next manager in, me and you a manager, me and you a chairman and owner. We've just...
got disaster written all over it.
Listen, we've just overseen a regime which has cost us a lot of money. We've got promotion, but, you know, the transfer policy, players being bought and never seeing them, and then them going out, like Brayford and Kadeem Harris, and we could go on.
That didn't happen under Malky so much.
Listen what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, part of the reason why he left was because of the transfer policy. You know, let's not forget we paid 10 million for someone who was probably worth 10 quid.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, right? I mean, that was
my point is, what would be? Wouldn't you think you and I now we have to be diligent in what we allow the next manager to have? We can't just say open book policy, survival or no survival in the Premiership. We can't. We have to say, well, you know, this is what we are allowing you to work with, because that's how it is. We set the agenda when it comes to what the finances are available at the club. So you don't just go to Ollie and say, okay, yeah, boom, open book. It's okay saying, oh, Ollie set his temp. But of course, he's kidding in a sweet shop. This guy's worth $1 billion, $2 billion, 10 billion, whatever. I want him. And whoa.
I don't think Ollie was given big money.
The board and the owner are supposed to control down.
Well, let me give question 7, which probably is pertinent to this point. The question is that the club announced it introduced a transfer committee to oversee the new arrivals. That was after the Mackay thing blew
right.
Headed by Vincent Tan and Mehmet Dalman.
Right.
Is that system still in place? And if so, is it working, given a host of players have left before even kicking a ball? So that's probably the point you get. Dalman's response is the transfer committee is not new. It's been here since I became chairman. The committee does not make footballing decisions. It makes decisions that affect things generally, particularly on the economic side. The football side is made by the manager. We have always stuck to that. Ollie wanted to bring players on board and we supported him. He wanted a large squad of players, so we agreed to that. We permitted that. It was not a question of players being right or wrong. I think many were talented, so we hope they go on to do well, he says.
Tail doesn't wag the dog. It's as simple as that. And if it's been here and you've got a committee, let's look at how each manager has been selected.
It was the selection of manager that was wrong at that point. If you remember what happened, whatever Malky was alleged to have done, whatever he's done, when that person came
Tell
in
me
at
how.
the end of
Tell
that
me.
Premier
Tell
League
me
year,
how. Tell me how it was.
they were
fed
coming
to the
into a
media
club.
how Solskjaer came to being our new manager. Remember how that came to being?
Well, it was Dalman's appointment.
Yeah, he was the
Dalman
best.
So what happened to
young-
the what did he say, the transfer, what do you call it?
transfer committee.
transfer committee.
Yeah. And wasn't he shouting from the rooftops? No, this is my boy. This is me. I've flown and gone and got him and brought him here. It's mine. So what happened to that committee then?
That
Where were
was
they?
that was the poorest, disastrous appointment of a manager in the history of Cardiff, possibly, and that's
Why
saying
you-
something in a list of
you reap
some
what
of
you
the
sow,
half-baked
JD.
managers they've been. Because
You
when
reap what you sow.
Solskjaer came in that December, you had a side that was I don't know, they were like fifth or sixth off the bottom. They were, whatever. They were regimented. They were together, even though they were having a tough time of it. They looked like a real chance as well. So to bring someone in that failed to keep them up, that was the moment of disaster, right there, and that was the mistake, and that is what we're paying for now. Because now, look, you've got.
I wouldn't go as far as
They're
that.
trying to
I do
rid,
think
they're
it's
trying to,
part
they're trying to
of the
rid the club
reason.
of players, cut back. They're metamorphosising into. What are they going to finish this season? 15th? That's about right. That's the kind of play. That's the squad they've got. Really, in truth, apart from a few, got Kenwyn Jones, who's a arguably
He'll be
Premier
gone
League
if he
player.
keeps scoring.
He'll be gone in the summer or whatever. So, it was a massive setback, that, and whoever, the appointment was wrong, and then the way that Solskjaer himself went about it, some of the players, Magnus Wolf-Eikram or whatever, the people that were brought in, I don't think in fairness to him, I don't think he was given a great lot of money to spend in that window, but he already had the tools to keep Cardiff in the Premier League, and that failed. And the repercussions of that now are being felt now. It could be felt for 10 years now. It could be felt for the next 10 years.
If you add that onto the other 10, he sets us back 20 years.
He sets back 20 years. If he sets us back anymore, we'll be winning the FA Cup at Wembley with Fred Keir in charge. But that was when the mistake was made, right there. Right there, the right man coming in the Premier League. It was such an attractive proposition, and they messed it up. And they're paying the cost for it now, and this is it.
I agree.
Mediocrity.
I can't disagree with a lot of what Texas said, but I will disagree on a point of the transfers and the policy. You can't distance yourself on one hand and say, "Oh, we're in control" on the other hand, because that is what Mehmet's basically.
Well, I can't see what he's
doing.
saying there.
No,
in a way.
that's what I'm saying.
You know,
He's distancing himself on
he
one
says,
hand.
"I want this player,"
Right.
and he says, "Like, well, how much is it going to cost?" No, the only criterion is they don't say no, we don't like this guy. They just say, "Oh, he's too expensive." That's what they're saying. So everything else is down
For
to the
everything
manager
that goes
himself.
on, you all got to take part responsibility. It's as simple as that.
Okay,
Look, the club's been reactive for too long, and honestly, now it's almost like bolting the stable door after the horse has bolted. They're millions in down the bottom end of the championship, and suddenly they're saying, and financial fair play, oh, hang on, perhaps we better.
I'm just looking
cut
for
costs.
saviours.
We might cut costs a little bit here. It suddenly dawned on us, come
Yeah.
from nowhere. Well, that's too reactive. There's no. Blakey said it loads of times. You did a column a couple of weeks back about the philosophy of the club. There is none, is there? There isn't. They've been reacting all the way. They were thinking, Solskjaer will come in, we'll throw a bit more money, he'll keep us up. No, he'll take us back up. Hey, hang on, we got the best squad in the championship here. Remember that? We'll bounce straight back up. Oh, hang on. Ooh, no, we're not. Oh, hang on. We're going to... Always reactive. No plan, no... and maybe, finally, speaking to Dalman and to Kenchu, perhaps finally... something is being done. People are getting a rein on things.
They're trying to make it sustainable, almost like stripping it back and trying to start again, which is surprising because it's almost as if they and Tan are accepting.
It's an admission of defeat.
Look,
mate.
they know they're not going anywhere this season. Nobody's going to come out now, whether it be Slade, Mehmet Dalman, Ken, and go, look, we ain't going up, forget it, we'll be happy to finish. Nobody's going to say that, but that's what they're building there now, isn't it? And Russell Slade is the fall guy in many ways, in that he's being asked to cut back. But he keeps saying, I'm in this transition period. he's in danger of going through a transition period and finding himself booted out the door at the end of it come the summer. Because he's finished, 16th and the performances have been poor and everyone's like, hang on, and someone else comes in to carry can. And then we're getting into this thing now of manager 6 months sacked, manager 6 months sacked. And no club has ever succeeded like that.
Yeah.
So it's disappointing, and they say you reap what you sow, and that's what's happening at Cardiff.
Okay, final quick question from this then. Is the cost cutting the first step of Vincent and lessening his financial input and perhaps eventually leaving the club? Downman says no, absolutely not. Very categorical on that by the sound of it, Tux. Ken Chu and I don't want to be a burden on him though. We want to run this club without having to go to the owner for an injection of capital. That's how every business should be run. I run my business on a profitable basis. I don't run it with people having to subsidise.
See, the problem with everything that Mehmet has said there is business, 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 business. Now, the business side of things is an absolute shambles, right? We've just gone through it, right? Financially, we're having to cut quickly now because we're sailing too close to the sun, yeah? So the business side is a shambles. Then those same business people have made footballing decisions. This is football. They need to understand, and it seems like they're getting it now because the kit colour change, everything is reversing. All this money being spent, no, we're not spending. They have to understand that football is unlike any other business. Yeah, it's not like the business of the banking world or the private sector or the public sector or wherever you want to go. It's not. Football's totally different. You tell me another business that has 30,000 fans walking through the gate Saturday in, Saturday out, no matter what. Do you know what I mean? It's not. It's another business that you can actually take those fans to the point where they say, right, enough is enough. And for a football fan, you've got to do a lot with a football fan to take him in there within 2 or 3 years of being at the club, mind. After a successful promotion to the Premier League, you got fans saying, I'm not renewing, I'm walking away. They need to understand, and I've said it, this is why I don't get no recognition or no love from the people at Cardiff City, is because they don't like to hear the truth. They don't want to hear it. They don't. They know better. As far as they're concerned, I know nothing, we know nothing, they know better. I'm not reversing on my decisions. I'm not saying different to what I was saying last week or last month or the start of the season. I know exactly a vision. I know where I would be going and what I would be doing. Hence why we're paid to give our opinion on this show. They're the ones who are U-turning every 2 minutes, changing minds, flipping this, flipping that, or pointing the finger over here, or no, it's his problem over there, or it's not me, Gov. Listen, business and football, they're two separate entities, yeah? But the business will never overtake the football, because no matter what happens, the spectacle, what people come to see, is not what's going on behind the scenes, it's those 11 boys on the pitch. And that, from there, you build your business model into your club. From what you see on the pitch, from what you want to see on the pitch, you build your business model. The problem is they've been building a business model over here for kit, more money here, more money there, we'll change it, we can make more money. It doesn't matter, because if the team is poor, you ain't selling no shirts anywhere, because no one wants to support an unsuccessful team.
Yeah, absolutely. Just finally on...
It's like, come on fellas, you're supposed to be intelligent men. That's what I mean. You're top of the league for what you do. I'm not knocking you. So I mean, but understand, this isn't the normal business. This isn't a franchise. This isn't a bank. This isn't. It's totally different. People are different. You're dealing with a set of people, like I say, the fans are totally different. You know what I mean?
There's no doubt the club has suffered from a lack of people who know about football being at the higher.
And that's the crux for me. That is the crux of the matter. Do you know what I mean? If you went in to buy a tie in John Lewis and someone was really rude to you, you wouldn't go that shop again.
Straight off to Howells.
Right. Yeah. That's the way we are as people. Whereas if you go to Cardiff City and they do something that you think to yourself, this is total alien to me and my club, you still go back next week and the week after and the week after and the week after. It takes a lot for a football fan to walk away from this club.
Looking at those talking about renewing their season tickets, I'm not sure people are going to be going
Well,
back
that's where
week
we
after
are.
week, month
That's
after
where we
month. I
are.
think
That's what I'm saying.
A lot of people have reached
That's what
the
we're saying.
end of their
That's
tether,
what they have, and that's what I'm saying. You've got, you talk business till you're blue in the face to me. Not great, and it is part and parcel of what you need to do to have a successful football club. But the football comes first, and if you don't know football, get people who do. And in business and the football, you come together to make an overall decision. Yeah? Because the decisions you make here about finances have to reflect well on the pitch. Because the 30,000, 20,000 fans who come to see the spectacle and pay their hard-earned dough every week, they're not interested in whether we're, well, they are. They want to be in financial fair play, but they're expecting you as business people to handle that.
Yeah.
I'm expecting the club to be even more financial problems when you've got a billionaire owner. It doesn't make sense. If we were struggling for cash and we had done a few dodgy things and, like we were pre-Vincent Tan, how can you be looking at financial problems with Vincent Tan? I'm like, whew.
Okay, now let's go back to the. Let's finish with the last 10 minutes then with the actual football.
Did they play football as well?
They play some
I love
football.
Cardiff City.
They play some
They
football.
play some football now and then too. Yeah.
With a
Well, it started in positive.
question from Badger Tucker, he calls himself. Make of that what you will. How do you
I
feel
like
the
the
team
sound
will
of
do in the next 3 games? We need 7 points. He says somebody
We
else
do.
earlier on saying this, that Brighton is a must-win game. Lose, and you are in the dogfight. Win, and you're not. Brighton, what are they? 21st, I think they are. They Cardiff currently 15, 6 points between them going into the game.
I tell you what,
on
though,
Tuesday.
I feel so much more confident going into that game than I did though after this point at Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah.
I just think after the Derby game, I mean, we sat on here and I was like, you were saying, we looked at it, they were 7 points off the bottom, this many games. You're looking at it and thinking, hang on, they're playing so poorly. They're so, where on earth are these points going to come from? I'm hoping that the Sheffield Wednesday, the point is great. The improved performance now, I'm just hoping that, I'm not expecting any miracles from them, but I really think, with Kenwyn Jones on fire, Doyle settling, McElhaney looking like I think they could do. I think there's a lot of positives going into that game. I think they're on a little, not a brilliant, not a great, not like world-beating high, but I think they're in a much better place than they were before the Sheffield Wednesday game. So I'm optimistic. And then is it Huddersfield?
There's a lot of games in February, isn't there, for a short minute?
Well, it's weird because they got the
Tuesday,
following weekend.
they got
6 games in February.
They got Blackburn.
Yeah, 5 more to go. Brighton, Blackburn, Huddersfield, Wigan and Wolves.
Well, big games. I mean, because they got some teams there suffering even more than Cardiff are suffering.
Well, that's because Slater's made a point of saying in this bad run they've had, they played a hell of a lot of teams who were in and around that top 6, and now they're perhaps playing some.
Well done for our line. Now, if you start losing games against the bottoms, then you're in trouble.
We played better against the top teams, even though we were rubbish. I'm pretty sure. No, I'm putting my optimistic hat on. I think they'll beat Brighton, and I think. Maybe they'll get something from Blackburn at home as well. And I think the Brighton game, as I think I said this last week, it's a pivotal kind of game because you lose it, and suddenly you're like, hang on a minute. Then Brighton are suddenly 3 points behind you or whatever it is, and you've lost at home. So these guys are on a dreadful run, a dreadful season. Where does that leave you? If they win it, Cardiff, I think, look, we don't think they're going to go down anyway, do we? I don't think anyone does.
I don't think they're going to go down.
No.
Not because of their own form, though. I think it's because
there's a lot more. There's a lot of people in much more worse situations.
But they'll be in the battle.
Yeah, I think they can do okay against Brighton.
It's a funny old league, though. Just looking at the table now, and below, as bad as Cardiff have been, below them in the league are Fulham, Bolton, Wigan, big teams who've been Premier League teams.
I know.
Very, very recently.
Luckily, we're not doing the boot room up there. Can you imagine how negative that would be?
You can just drop like a stone if you don't get it right in this league. If things are wrong, can't you?
Without a doubt.
It's definitely a bit of that, Blake. You had it spot on at the start of the season. Well, that kind of like, we'll go back up. We've just come down from the Prem. I think there's a lot of that going on. Subconsciously, in a way, almost. You're like coming in, we were playing Man U a couple of months ago. Here we go, come on. And suddenly you're like, I thought Steve McLaren summed it up really well in his post-match where he talked about that downward spiral. that you get the first few games happen, and you're like, hang on a minute, we just got done by, we just got done by Bournemouth 5-2. Hang on a minute, that's not in the script.
Yeah.
And you do, and that's what Cardiff have suffered from. I think you could go back and everyone would say, no, we didn't feel like that. But I think you're not even conscious of it yourself, and it's exactly what Blakey was talking about. And I think now, hopefully, under Slade and with the changes, I think Cardiff are suddenly starting to realise, oh, crikey, we're in the Championship, we've got to roll up our sleeves and do something. Or otherwise, we'll forget the Championship, we're going to get sucked into League One. So
I think that's been extremely positive. I think Tux is there. I think Cardiff know exactly where they are now, and I don't think they're able to react to it, hence why they've had to change 3 or 4 players again, and hence why the manager's not being able to pick a settled team. He picked his 22-man squad, but couldn't pick a settled 11. So I think Cardiff, the problem is not that realisation of being in the Championship. It's actually, and this is my worrying, is they've lost their confidence playing at home. We've seen it with other teams. Well, I've played for teams who have lost confidence playing at home. The real reasons I try and focus on, they are struggling with confidence playing. They are struggling at home because the crowd, we all know, City fans, they're short-fused. And there's been they've had to take a lot of crap over the last 2 years, so they're going to be even, shorter than normal. Plus, let's be fair, they're all willing to give the manager a chance, but it wasn't their first choice. That shortens fuses even more. And the spectacle they're watching isn't, like we just said, people are walking away, isn't great. So, I think if Cardiff got to beat Brighton, don't talk of a point or anything like that. You've got to beat Brighton. Yeah, so put all your eggs in a basket for a game and go and do it, because you need to get that confidence.
A convincing
and you need to have the fans. If the fans boo you off another game, listen, and you lose to Brighton, because Brighton, for all said and done, can play football, and we struggle against teams who zip the ball about, and they can knock it about. Yeah, even though their position in the league doesn't show that, they can knock the ball about. So they're going to feel more confident coming to Cardiff than Cardiff are going to be playing at home.
That's what you'd be telling them if you're the manager there, wouldn't you? You'd be saying,
mate,
frustrate them,
it's what we're
because they're
saying.
fans. You'd be saying, they're supporters, they're on the knife
We're
edge,
just highlighting. I'm just trying to highlight.
You get the fans turning.
I'm trying to highlight what I see going on at the moment, but
they got Chris Hughton in, haven't they?
Yeah. A good manager.
Got out of this league before.
Yeah, they lost on the weekend. But they were in the game for a long period. They lost. I think if they come now, Cardiff, even if it's a 1-0, 2-1, just put everything into the game. Don't worry about Blackburn. Just put everything into the game and get 3 points, mate. That's what Cardiff got to do. Get cheered off, and then Blackburn at home again. Fans come happier, again, try and put the lot in, but leave it all out on the pitch. 2 games, try and get 6 points, and then you're in a position where 3 games, 7 points, right, now that's a good footing to go from. But a point, they come home, they do all right for 20 minutes, they struggle, Brighton get a goal, fans start baying for blood. All of a sudden, those 3 or 4 players, the Doyles, the McElhaney's, all of a sudden, I think, I'm quite like this atmosphere. You know what I mean? And what's happened to him? He's not playing how he was Saturday, but Wednesday, and because you're at home. That's why. And then confidence has been sapped at home over a long period of time. So, it is a game that Cardiff can listen. They just forget about anything else. Any other game, it's just got to be 100% focus, win Brighton, and then tactically how you're going to go about it.
There's a lot of old faces, a lot of stories you can see written already coming up in Gistade at Blackburn in a couple of weeks. Mark Hudson at Huddersfield, then we've got Wigan with Malky and now Kim as well. That'll be interesting, won't it?
Malky, Kim signing for Malky, that's
That was a surprise.
incredible-
What do you make? Just
strange
quick,
story.
while we mentioned Malky, what do you make of the situation? He's had literally no impact. They've gone back. They've gone backwards since you
like
said
3
they're
points in.
7 points off safety.
Well,
Do you know
we've been
my
saying
honest
them and
opinion?
Blackpool are gone.
I would say probably Malky. I don't speak or haven't spoke, but looking body language and what's going on, I would say Malky's probably half of the man he was when he was at Cardiff. He probably carried the same passion, but he won't be able to deliver it with the same, with the same sort of attitude, and it won't be received with the same sort of response as before. And I think that's probably why you haven't seen a big lift, because Malky was that kind of,
Yeah,
brave,
that's
motivator,
strong,
yeah,
he had that
motivation,
steel
Tough to
character,
beat,
yeah.
yeah,
Which he
And
lost
brave
in the
fight.
final weeks.
Well, he lost it here to the back end. And
No, he
then
wasn't. I don't want
when
to be
he
a
saw-
he wasn't under incredible
Yeah,
pressure. Anybody
we're not
would
saying
lose.
that, but when he went to Wigan, with the situation and the storm that happened
Yeah,
around
yeah.
him, that took some of his confidence away also. Plus that situation is not at a resolution. So,
still ongoing.
well, so you don't know what's waiting in the wings. Maybe he knows something that we don't. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe just thinking, I just wish that would go away. But, it's like the Frotch effect. Once you get knocked out by
Kim
Cal
is a
Frotch, boy.
strange. I mean, considering all that's apparently happened and allegedly happened, and just football never fails to amaze you. You would think that was the most unlikely deal, and that deal happened. So it goes to show,
The cynic in you may say,
Well, it kept to do with money. I suppose so. But
maybe
would you want to work for somebody who had allegedly described you in less than
Hell no.
flattering? Exactly, and who
Hell
would? So
no.
I.
Maybe it's done as a as a proof that I'm not what you thought I was.
Well, I mean, not so much him, but I mean Kim himself.
Yeah.
is the one that needs to be questioned. But
Correct.
but that's for the future. So first up is beating Brighton.
NMP, not my problem.
Yeah, first up is giving Brighton a sound spanking.
Indeed,
if you'll pardon the expression.
Finish us with some predictions.
This takes about half hour.
I'm going to go all in. Like I said, Cardiff got to go all in, got to go for it. So I'm going to go 2-0. And that's not with my Cardiff hat on. That's with my, if you don't realise now, fellas, manager, club, you don't realise now, because I'm saying you're not going to go down, but stranger things have happened, you know what I mean?
Hey, they're
Took
too
so
good
many
to go
years.
down.
Yeah, don't say that.
Too good to go down. Ow.
Don't say that.
I know,
on the show.
I'm only saying it for
Yeah, don't even say it for jest.
Don't say it
I don't
for
want to hear it.
All right, you are paranoid. You're scared.
Yeah, I just don't like that one.
I was funny enough.
If I'm
I was
going to go
thinking,
through, I think the manager's got to get into their heads to a point where he's never been before, and he's got to make them realise that this game is so important. They might not think it. They might think, but trust me, fellas, mate, you lose this game, it's not just about the result you're going to lose. You're going to lose a whole heap more.
I was going to say 2-0. I didn't want to sound wise. Well, not that it's wise. You're probably both wrong, but not that agreeing with Blakey's ever a wise thing. But no, I was going to say about 2-0. I fancy Doyle to open his Cardiff account as well. Fox in the box.
Del McAleny.
Maybe a little. Yeah. I think
Or Doyle and
I
Kenway.
think Sheffield Wednesday, like I said before,
Doyle
have
and
done
Jones or Doyle and McAleny.
done the
that'd be
power
the
of good. I think just that is a little galvanising effect on them,
Okay.
So yeah. So we're both saying 2-0.
And can I just say congratulations to a
Nice.
friend of mine, Mr. and Mrs. Malcolm, Christian Malcolm, got married yesterday. Beautiful service, great day, as you can probably see by my eyes. They are a bit
That's why you're
puffy.
smelling a booze.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I don't smell it.
The good thing is, he smells lovely. I don't know what it is, Armani.
Yeah.
What's that link? The Lynx effect. He's had a link shower this morning.
Yeah.
The good thing being Christian Malcolm is if you decide not to get married, you can run away really quickly, isn't it? You always
No, but a magnificent service.
Always good to end
great
with
day.
a-
Yeah.
one of my
Poor
jokes.
gag.
What else would you
Boom,
expect? Boom, boom. Mr. Nathan.
All right, chaps. Good stuff. Happy with that?
Yeah, just miss Gaz.
Bring him back.
Hey, we'll get him back next week. Don't worry.
I got
I don't
better
think
things
he'd
to
be
doing.
worried about it anyway. He's tiring of the fame that the boot room brings.
All right, chaps, thank you for that. We'll leave it there. Thank you for joining us, as always. Thanks for all your comments and your questions. We'll be blogging live from that Brighton game tomorrow night. Should be good. Tucks will
Great,
that
yeah,
one.
should be good.
And we'll see you again next week, same time, same place.